Let us start our new session. This energy stored in a capacitor we have already discussed. Let us take a brief of it. While energy stored in a capacitor, two parallel plates are there in between the dielectric material. While we are providing an external field, external energy to it, positive charges start to move. As the current starts to flow, positive charges are moving from conductor 2 to 1. As positive charge leaving the conductor 2, defined as a negative charge, and positive charges arriving at conductor 1, so it is defined as a positive charge. That is Q dash and minus Q dash. So potential difference is V is equal to Q by C, Q dash by C. And the work done is required to transfer these charges. We are taking a smaller portion. And that's why del W is V into del Q. V is equal to Q by C. So Q dash by C into del Q dash. So smaller as del Q dash is small, smaller work done is defined in terms of 1 by 2C Q dash plus del Q dash square minus Q dash square, difference between two charges. Now if we want a total work done, these smaller parts we are going to sum up, and at the end we are getting the result Q square by 2C. If we are doing the integration, the same result we are getting. Integration is nothing but summation of large number of small terms. So again we are getting W is equal to Q square by 2C. We can rewrite the term 1 half CV square equal to 1 half QC. So here work is stored in the capacitor in terms of potential energy of the system. Final potential energy is independent of the path or the manner in which how the capacitor going to be charged. Ultimately, it only depends on how much capacitor is charged, how much charges are available to the plates. When the capacitor is going to discharge, it releases its stored energy, and it is only possible to view while how much charge is stored between the plates, then only we can understand how much energy going to be released. So energy stored in a capacitor is 1 half Q square by C. C is equal to epsilon A by D, and total charge is, that is A into sigma square, that is the charge density. And that charge density is proportional to the electric field E. So that is E, charge density is proportional to the external given force E. So sigma proportional to the E. While we are removing proportionality, it is replaced with the epsilon 0. So sigma equal to epsilon 0 into E. So E equal to sigma into epsilon 0. So the total energy stored is U equal to 1 half epsilon 0 E square into AD. AD is the volume of the region between two plates. While we want to get the charge energy density is nothing but energy stored per volume. So energy density is 1 half epsilon 0 into E square. AD is 1. So U equals to 1 half epsilon 0 E square. Now based on that, we are going to cover one more example. A 900 picofarad capacitor is charged by 100 volt as shown in figure A. How much electrostatic energy is stored by the capacitor? Right? Now charge Q is equal to CV. C is given 900 picofarad. So 900 into 10 raised to minus 12 farad. V is given external voltage, that is 100 volt. So 9 into 10 raised to minus 8 coulomb energy, the charge is available onto the capacitor. Now energy stored by the capacitor is 1/2 CV square. 1/2 CV square. So we can say CV equals to Q. So can I replace 1/2 QV? So 1/2 Q is derived 9 into 10 raised to minus 8 coulomb and V is given external voltage 100 volt. So energy stored by the capacitor is 4.5 into 10 raised to minus 6 joule. Now second portion is the capacitor is disconnected from the battery and connected to another 900 picofarad as shown in the figure. What is the electrostatic energy stored by the system? In this steady situation, two capacitors have their positive plates on the same potential and their negative plates at the same potential. So the common potential difference is a V dash. Q dash equal to CV dash and Q dash is Q by 2 and V dash is V by 2. Half is there. So the total energy of the system is 2 1/2 Q dash V dash. So 1 by 4 QV. So that 1/2 QV, 1/2 QV we have 4.5 into 10 raised to minus 6. So 1/4 QV is 2.25 into 10 raised to minus 6. So another question is, what is the electrostatic energy stored by the system? So thus in going to from A to B, though no charge is lost, the final energy is only half the initial energy. So what has the remaining energy gone? There is a transient period before the system settled to the situation B. During this transient period, current flows from the first capacitor to the second capacitor. First capacitor going to be discharged via second capacitor, and that's why second capacitor has half charge. And this energy is lost during this time in the form of heat and electromagnetic radiation. Now let us go through the next topic, Van de Graaff generator. This is the generator. This is the machine that can build up a high voltages of the order of few million volts. The resulting large electric field are used to accelerate charged particles to the high energies. The principle of this generator is we have a large spherical conducting cells of radius r on which we place a charge q. This charge spread itself uniformly all over the sphere. The field outside the sphere is just that of a point charge q at the center, while the field inside the sphere vanishes. So the potential outside is that of a point charge and inside it is a constant, namely the value at the radius r. So potential inside the conducting spheral shell of radius r carrying the charge 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q by r. R is the radius. So a small sphere of radius r is carrying some charge q into the large one and place it at the center. The potential due to this new charge clearly has the following value at the ready indicated. Potential due to small sphere of the radius r carrying the charge 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q by r, and the largest sphere has a charge 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q by capital R. Taking both charges q and q into the account, we have for the total potential and the potential difference value, V of R, capital R is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q by r plus small q by r, and potential at the smaller radius r as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q by total r plus q by smaller r. So the difference is q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 1 by smaller r minus 1 by larger r. Now assume that q is positive independent of the amount of charge q that may have accumulated on the large sphere, and even if it is positive, the inner sphere is always at a higher potential. So the difference Vr minus Vr is positive. Inner sphere is always positive because it has a larger energy, larger potential. As the area is increases, energy value is reduces, so its potential value is reduces. So even though the area is smaller, it able to store the large energy, and that's why the potential difference is always positive with inner to outer sphere. So the potential due to q is constant up to the radius r onto the same spherical path. Charge is constant, potential is constant, and so cancel out in the difference because potential difference is not there. So that potential is 0. So that if we now connect a smaller and larger sphere by a wire, the charge q on the former will immediately flow even though the charge q may quite large, and it starts to flow from higher to lower. The natural tendency is there for positive charge to move from higher to lower potential, and thus how able to introduce the small charge sphere into the larger one, that move from higher to lower potential, and that's why inner potential always have a larger potential. Inner sphere has always larger potential, and potential at the outer sphere is keep rising at least we reach the background field of air. So this is what the principle of the Van de Graaff generator. It is a machine capable of building up a potential million volts and fields close to the breakdown field of air, which is about 3 into 10 raised to 6 volt per meter. As we show in the figure, a large spherical conducting cell is supported at a highest several meters above the ground on a insulating column. From the ground, insulating column with support to the larger sphere. This belt is keep continuously moving by a motor. Motor is driving at the lower pole, and it continuously carry a positive charge which is spread out by the source at the ground level, and this motor from the conducting belt by moving that charges from ground to the above sphere. Thus positive charge is transferred to the cell when it's spread out uniformly on the outer surface. In this way, voltage difference of as much as 6 to 8 million volts with respect to ground can be built up. Right? So this is how this Graaff-de generator may able to transfer the charges from lower to higher from that belt and generates at the outer sphere large amount of charges which generates a large volt. This is how we end up this session as well. We end up this second chapter. I hope you understood the whole chapter thoroughly. Thank you.